Begin.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Taisha Allen with Parent Voices, Oakland. I'm a mother of 3. I have a 5-month-old, and I'm in need of childcare. My grandmother, she's 80 years old, and while she's always available to help, due to her age and ailments, I feel it's unsafe to leave her alone with the baby. Senator Corbell raised the question earlier regarding statistics in regards to the long-term benefits of early child care education. I do not have the statistics, but I know firsthand the benefits of quality child care. My daughter is 10 years old. She is an honor roll student. She is tutoring 14 years old in algebra and trigonometry. She aspires to be a pediatrician. I'm sorry, I've never done this before. Okay. I believe due to the high quality early childhood subsidy, she was able to have the crucial academic success. I am here reaching out to the panel, asking you all to allocate new revenues to expand access for childcare, so that all children.
You did a great job.
Thank you.
You did a great job. Unfortunately, time is very limited, so
I'm at the end of the sentence.
Okay, finish.
Sorry. To expand access for childcare, so that all children have the same opportunities to affordable quality childcare, where childcare families can work again. Thank you.
Perfect. Next, please.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Clarissa Douthard. I'm the Executive Director for Parent Voices Oakland. Last year, Mother Rebecca Vieira testified on this budget committee on the panel here after working all night at her graveyard shift at a homeless shelter. She was a very dynamic, wonderful speaker. I hope you remember her. And she talked about how difficult it was for her to work and provide for her 4-year-old son. And she needed help with childcare. She was working hard to lift herself up out of poverty and losing hope as one of the thousands of parents on multiple waiting lists. And unfortunately, she's not here today because Rebecca passed 4 months after testifying here as a victim of gun violence in a domestic dispute. Unfortunately, her son was with her, and we do hope that there would have been a different outcome for her had she had the support that she needed. Yes, and so I am here to ask that you make the critical and very smart investments in childcare so that families don't continue to wait on lists. Our families, our children, they're the most important and valuable asset that we have. They simply cannot wait any longer for these services. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next speaker, please.
Hi, good afternoon. Nina Boothie. I'm the Executive Director of the California Child Development Administrators Association. A few highlights in regards to the hearing today. In reference to the governor's budget, you've heard tremendous cuts, $1 billion of cuts, many child care spaces lost. We would urge you to consider reinvesting in the system that we currently have prior to introducing a new program such as transitional kindergarten. That's the first piece. The second piece around the California State Preschool Program and the elimination of the family fees. We are very supportive of that. Think that it's a wonderful idea. There are 2 bills going through the legislature right now, AB 1902 BONTA as well as SB 1123 LU, which also have similar provisions in it. We're very supportive of that. And then one additional piece that actually is not in your proposal right now, but it was included in the governor's budget, is substantial increases to community care licensing fees for child development programs. And not only is there a 10% increase to annual fees as well as additional application fees, but there are quite severe civil penalty increases. So rather than a $150 per day maximum fee that we have right now, it would be increased to 5 times the annual licensing fee, which for a child development program would be $2,420 per day. So we think that that really needs to be re-examined. The penalties are too severe.
Okay, thank you. And I know it can be frustrating trying to get as much as you can in 1 minute. Please feel free, if you wish, to submit written comments to the committee today or sometime in the future for anything you don't get to cover in your minute. And I want to thank all the speakers. You've all been very good and very quick and within your minute. So let's continue that pattern. You're next.
My name is Serena Cox. I'm project coordinator for Educational Enrichment Systems in San Diego County. I'm testifying along with Patricia, who left earlier to get a flight back to San Diego. So thank you for having us both. I want to thank Chairman Block again for visiting our preschool. I think one of the things, as Dr. Cannon noted earlier, the crucial thread in early childhood education is that programs must be high quality. These programs exist in California today. Title V centers like EES, Educational Enrichment Systems, provide developmentally appropriate instructional programs and curriculum. So why is there such a high percentage of eligible children who cannot access these programs? As mentioned earlier also in testimony today, since 2000, and by the woman that was previously sitting here, since 2008, state budget cuts have eliminated 110,000 preschool slots, and extremely low CSPP and CCTR reimbursement rates and extremely outdated income eligibility requirements for parents exacerbate this lack of access. In conclusion, the most cost-effective and efficient way to increase access to high-quality early education is by reinvesting and restoring funding to existing evidence-based quality early learning programs in the current mixed delivery system that serve birth through 5. Thank you.
Thank you, and you run a very impressive program in San Diego.
Thank you.
But
Thank you. My name is Rosie Kennedy, a former family child care provider and an advocate for family child care. I'd like to say that in any early childhood education systems change and restructuring, I urge our legislators and policymakers to make sure that private centers and family child care providers are at the table from the start. Those who work with children and families every day in and day out, are the quintessential experts. They know what works and what doesn't. The current system, the current delivery system is the way it is because it happens to best meet the needs of young children and working families. With more complete and relevant input, the resulting systems and policy will achieve the best outcomes. I want to read a few excerpts from a dad's letter. I have 3 children, currently 3, 5, and 7, the oldest one being in grade school, while the other 2 are in a privately run family child care. The family child care providers has provided outstanding preparation for kindergarten and elementary school, and I know she's doing the same for my other 2 children. The main reason for this is the small age groups, the small mixed groups, and allows for more focus on social development, leadership skills, and ability to interact positively with children, both older and younger.
thank you. If you want to get more information to us, please submit that in writing. And we'll move now to the next speaker.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Janine Rockwell Owens, and I have educated children in Contra Costa County through my family child care home for over 32 years. I also work with the UC Davis Extension and their Child Care at its Best program in educating child care providers so that they are top quality programs. I firmly believe in family child care. I believe it's one of the best deliveries of education for our young children, and I believe that they should be at the table at this time to help make the decisions in the future of educating children in California. We need to make sure we have enough providers to care for our children during their earliest years. We also need to guarantee that providers have a seat at the table in making a quality system for every child. I know from long experience that providers know best how to provide our children the care and early learning they need. Their voices are essential to improve our current system.
Thank you so much. And I do want to assure all the speakers, too, that in addition to presenting to us and we're taking notes and their staff, there are other staff, other members and departments within the administration, LAO, et cetera, and Department of Education that are watching this on television, too. So your comments are important. While they're brief, they're important. And again, if you have more to say, write those comments down for us and send them to us at any time. Go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Allie Little. I'm speaking on behalf of Children Now, and we're urging you to increase funding for children birth to age 5. As has been said today, this is a crucial period for our children's development and contributes to their later success. Specifically, we urge you to raise reimbursement rates, especially for infants and toddlers who are more costly to care for, to build back slots. As we know, they have been devastated in recent years, especially for our infants and toddlers who are underserved, particularly underserved in the current system. And finally, to dedicate higher levels of funding to quality improvement, which does drive the strongest outcomes. And in doing so, we ask that you keep in mind the diverse range of settings in which our children receive care, including center-based family child care homes and license-exempt settings. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hello, my name is Zinnia Vong. I work for Options Childcare and Human Service Agency as a referral specialist. We provide early care and education services to approximately 10,000 children throughout San Gabriel Valley in LA County. Did you know over the past 5 years, professionals working for state-funded programs have not received a COLA even with a 13% inflation rate? Working professionals in the state-funded programs has a pay cut while the cost of food, gas, and housing has increased. Our staff are poorly paid. Due to low wages, staff can't provide for their families. As a result of no increases, our staff are discouraged. We should increase the reimbursement rate for child development contractors, which will assure a COLA for our staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hello, my name is Marisol Moreno, and I work for Options, a child care and human service agency. We support the approval of a COLA. If we want to provide quality programming for our children, we need to be able to provide our teachers with competitive wages. Having competitive wages will allow us to, among other things, retain quality teachers in the programs as well as attract newly trained teachers to the field. For example, this year's employee turnover rate within our programs was extremely high due to low wages and inadequate benefits, making it harder to run a successful program. This affects the students because, as we all know, children work best with consistency. Let's work to keep our teachers in the field so we can continue providing quality programs. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Cliff Markison, I'm the Executive Director of Options. I want to address the fact that programs are collapsing around the state due to the low standard reimbursement rate for Title V programs. Your staff in the analysis correctly analyzed that small and medium-sized programs have been closing down and being absorbed by larger programs. I am one of those larger programs that's been absorbing. But this year, our California State Preschool program went from being able to barely balance its budget to $400,000 in the red. I have closed 5 classes recently. I have more classes I'm going to close next year. The parent fees is part of it. We know that parents are not enrolling because they have been in the office in the process of enrolling, and they have, when they found out about the fees, gotten up, walked out, and not enrolled. I would urge you to end, the fees were put in budget trailer bill. I would urge you to, in budget trailer bill, eliminate the fees in part-day state preschool, and I don't care if you don't backfill. That's not the issue for me. The fees are killing the program. Also,
thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Good afternoon now. My name is Donna Sneringer. I'm with the Child Care Alliance of Los Angeles, and we've shared information with your staff, and I did want to just make 3 quick points. We firmly believe it's time to reinvest in the existing system. It's been a very rough ride the past 5 years, and we've seen tremendous increases in our waiting lists. To your question earlier, my home agency, the Child Care Resource Center, over a 1-year period, we had a 62% increase in eligible families on our waiting list. And in Los Angeles County, just in the 10 member agencies in the LA Alliance, we have over 35,000 income-eligible kids waiting. So there's a lot of need out there. And we also are very concerned about the rates. We haven't increased reimbursement rates for providers in over 10 years. In LA County, we are currently looking at, in our 10,000 licensed providers, half of them being above our maximum reimbursement rate. So even the families we're serving are priced out of the top half of the market. So it really is time to look at that. And lastly, as you look at all these different options for families and looking at early childhood education, please remember that 65% of families are working. They need full-time care, and part-day options are very challenging for them to access.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Kim Johnson, California Child Care Resource and Referral Network. I did provide some resources to you all as well. Just again, echoing reinvestment in the need here and a priority for children with increased access for families, as well as the rate issue that you've already heard about. I just also want to point out that wasn't discussed today is that we do have the Child Care and Development Block Grant at the federal level potentially being reauthorized this year. We know that regardless if that gets reauthorized through Congress, we also have the Child Care and Development Fund final rule coming, which is going to have additional requirements for quality standards for all programs. So we really need to position ourselves to be ready on consumer education as well as access and quality issues. So we just support investment in this year. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Sheila Byers, and as a single parent and grandmother now, I've had to directly experience the problems with not being able to afford childcare for my son, who now at the age of 23 has been directly affected by this issue. He finds it hard to socialize with other adults his age, and that has been a very bad impact for me, and I do feel guilty that I wasn't able to provide that service for my son. And my daughter now, 30 years later, has 3 children, and her husband and her have to decide which parent can work and which parent can stay home because they can't even afford child care for her 3 children. This is an issue that has to be looked at very deeply because everybody should be able to afford accessible and affordable child care.
Yeah, thank you for your comments. Next speaker, please.
Hello, and thank you for having me. My name is Patrice Wilson. I'm a proud mother of 3. My youngest son is lucky enough to benefit from an early learning that he receives from a family child care center. As a single mother, finding affordable child care that gave me a peace of mind to work full-time was key to me being able to provide for my family. It's exciting to see my 4-year-old already gaining a valuable skill learning a second language. I have no doubt that he will be able to succeed in kindergarten from day one. When I hear that many of our children are starting kindergarten as much as 18 months behind, it breaks my heart. As a parent, we all want what's best for our children. All children deserve to have quality early learning. When parents can access support that's needed, we can really see the results in children. I am hopeful that Sacramento understands that and will prioritize access to child care so that every child has a spot in the child care program. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next speaker.
Hi, my name is Derek Hodges. I am a state employee and a job steward with SEIU Local 1000. Over the last few months, we have been talking to our members about their children and or grandchildren and how our union is working to find solutions for child care struggles that family faces. A dad, Mr. Pruitt, who very reluctantly now has to rely on his parents to care for his 2 children because even though he and his wife have good paying jobs, he is in IT, he can no longer afford to pay $2,100 per month for child care programs. The size of a parent's paycheck should not determine a child's future. If we know the first 5 years are key to succeed in school, we need to make sure every child has that opportunity to one day wear a graduation cap and gown. We need to invest in early learning now, and that investment includes prioritizing the retention and recruitment of licensed child care providers so that we can take every child off that waiting list and put him or her into the early learning environment they need to succeed. Parents depend on quality and experienced child care providers. It's the only way we go to work with the peace of mind knowing our kids are taken care of and are getting the early learning they need. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good afternoon. My name is Brenda Jacobson, and this is my business partner, Kristen Miller, and we're here representing the private providers.
And you get 2 minutes because there are 2 of you, so go ahead.
We wanted to bring our concerns to you today about the licensing fees that are looking into place. When you're discussing that there could be a $2,100 a day fee on citations for small things like maybe not a lid on a trash can, or having our documentation showing that a teacher is associated with our license, and when licensing analysts come in, they're not associated with no explanation why, we could receive those, and in a very short amount of time, that will cause us to close our doors, which is impacting the 75 families that we serve every day with children 0 through 5 years old. That is our passion. It is our desire to continue to do that, and that gravely concerns us that in a matter of just a few days, we would have to close our doors because we could not serve the families. Because as a small business, we don't have those kind of finances just sitting around. We are trying to provide a quality program, give our staff the salaries that we're not even paying them what they deserve, but we're trying to pay them what we're able to do, and provide food and everything else in a quality program. So when we have finances that are needing to come out like that, it's literally going to cause us to close our doors. So we would like you to consider that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker.
Hi, my name is Sherry Springer, and I'm a private child care provider. I'm also part of an association, Californians for Quality Early Learning, representing the private sector. So quickly, the reimbursement rates have been discussed, and I would really encourage that they move up to more current rates that would be required to do the quality work that we do. And then in echoing what was just said about the penalties that are proposed, that could devastate centers throughout the state. Now I would like to talk about the SB 837 and our concern as private providers on the mixed delivery system, and that ADA, it was clearly stated yesterday that ADA will not be subcontracted at all, and so that would not be a mixed delivery system. In our county, we actually had our state preschool and the TK program in a very small district combined to do the TK, and because they were sued, because it was ADA funding, they had to close it down. So this would not work as far as the funding. So some of the unintended consequences would be the closure if you take 50%, because most of us have full.
Thank you for your comments. Again, submit any additional comments in writing to us if you would. Next speaker.
My name is Judy Kriege. I'm at Bananas Child Care Resource and Referral Agency in northern Alameda County. Poverty has by far the greatest impact on the ability of children to achieve. Both the poverty of a child's family and the impoverishment of the systems put in place to provide care and education to that child must be addressed. We cannot close that gap by simply redesigning California's child care program and not addressing the lack of adequate funding. In fact, when an attempt is made to do so, such as what is being attempted in the TK and LAO proposals, we usually get a bad design. So, raise the standard reimbursement rate for Title V programs, update the regional market rate for AP programs, increase access through more child care slots and eliminate waiting lists, increase visits for health and safety inspections by community care licensing, increase funding to community colleges to educate the field, increase funding to resource and referral agencies to provide more ongoing professional development and technical assistance to the field, as well as educate and inform parents on identifying quality and accessing child care resources. And lastly, increase the administrative rate for alternative payment agencies so that caseworkers can more effectively serve families and support them in accessing appropriate care.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Danita Stromgren, representing the Northern Directors Group, a collaboration of alternative payment programs in Northern California. We think it's important to build on the existing system and to look forward to a vision of reform and reinvestment that basically addresses the needs of all children 0 to 5 in increasingly high-quality programs that allow for parental choice. And we think you can improve accessibility and affordability in two ways. One, by increasing the funding available to increase the number of children that are served. We recommend an incremental increase in funding for slots over the next 3 to 5 years. And then also increasing the reimbursement rate. You've heard other people talk about that. We think it's very important to maintain the policy at the 85th percentile so that you continue to have good increased access for families. And that also can be increased over the course of the 3 to 5 years. We believe that it's important to increase the quality of services for all, and that you can do that by reinvesting in provider training, and that also funding for the child and adult food and nutrition program. We support the elimination of the fee for state preschool, and we look forward to working on and reviewing the LAO report. We think there's some good things in there, but we're concerned about drastic change.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Janine Micheletti, representing the California Alternative Payment Program Association, supporting the comments you've heard before. Holistically, you need to support the families, or you're going to not have success the highest success in the kids that you possibly can, connecting them to quality program. Reinvest in the existing mixed delivery system. If there was as much thought put into reinvestment in our mixed system right now, we'd be in a better position than expanding TK. Finally, I just want to touch on one thing. Stabilize your stage 3. Whether you have the re-engagement project that DSS is talking about or not, stage 3 is your highest successful program. You've already invested years in these families. To not shore it up, to not maintain stability and funding, you are going to lose the investment that you vested in these families. Lastly, again, I would reconsider the parent engagement and take that money and fund a centralized eligibility list so we know the families we're talking about that need our services. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Next speaker.
Hi, my name is Amanda Waltire, and I'm with Knowledge Universe, a large early education provider. We service families in 23 different counties. I urge us to restore the funding levels that were lost from the last 5 years so we continue to service the families that are in need. I also would like to support the LEO recommendation to move from the 7th percentile RMR rate to the 2012 levels. While we simplify that RMR structure so it's easier for our families to understand how they're being reimbursed. And lastly, recognize that Title 22 programs are quality programs that service the full nature of the child. We are here to support not just their health and safety standards, but we're here for their development, just like a Title V standards are. So thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hi, I'm Jean Allion. I'm Executive Director of the Professional Association for Childhood Education, and we represent over 10,000 owners, directors, and teachers of private preschools as well. Basically, the regional market rate, again, that's an issue. I think it needs to be raised. I think, again, you need to invest in the existing structure. And also with the TK bill, we have concerns that it's not going to be truly a mixed delivery system unless there are some major revisions. So, again, you have some wonderful preschools and child development centers in the state. Why not we use what we have right now? We have a lot of high quality, whether they're Title 22 or Title 5. The Title 22 centers, they actually are high quality because they have all these parents that are paying for the services, so they need to be up to par. So a lot of, there's a misconception a lot about saying you're Title 22 and you're not the same quality. So I'm here to say they're very high quality centers that are Title 22. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good afternoon. Khadija Alam Javed with the Advancement Project, here to ask you to restore and reinvest in our early education infrastructure. We really think the legislature really needs to look at a stable, permanent source of funding for our early education programs, so we can provide high quality early education programs so our children are not a victim of a budget seesaw year after year. We can call it TK, pre-K, whatever you wish, but ultimately we're talking about the same kids, and ultimately to get high quality programs we are going to have to spend a lot of money, so we really need to look at that. So we ask you to do that this year. Our kids can't wait. And to your question about preschool, pre-K facilities, Advancement Project did a report in 2007 called the California Preschool Space Challenge. We did it in 2007, but I think if we share it with you, it'll give you an idea of what the need is for facilities. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Tim Fitzharris, Early Care and Education Consortium. We have 900 centers in California, and we don't want to repeat what's already been said. I'm going to try to bring you something new. Both the LAO and others who are proposing an increase on rates have left out one major thing. One thing you did wasn't a cut last year in the budget, but you made a positive action, that is you raised the minimum wage. And it's now in the second step of the minimum wage. And Senator knows that because you had this 2 weeks ago in your committee for DD and regional centers. And that's my point. What I've handed out here for you is the first set of the problem statement comes out of the Assembly Budget Committee's statement on cuts and everything else. You have that. And then the second piece is what was out of the analysis that the senator got 2 weeks ago on the DD issue. The governor put in $110 million on his own to recognize the minimum wage impact in that part of the field, and yet the bigger cuts really are in the child development and early education side. LEO supported the recommendation by the governor in that budget hearing 2 weeks ago. So we would just ask you to consider the same thing the governor is doing for the DD and regional center side before you start anything else. Recognize that 60% of our personnel are going to get a minimum wage increase, and we ought to be recognized in it as well. So if you could build on that, we'd appreciate it.
Thank you. Last speaker.
Good afternoon, Senator. Dion Ehrener on behalf of AFSCME and SEIU, the Child Care Providers Union, right? I'm not going to repeat everything that everybody said. It's easy to align myself with all of them. I think, though, what's really important here is, businesses, labor, government, we need stability, right? We've just come through the most difficult period economically that in my and your lifetime, right? We didn't live through the Depression. And so I think what you're hearing from everybody is we need some stability. And so while I appreciate all of the proposals that you have in front of you, right, whether they're from the Department of Social Services, whether or not they're from the LAO, whether or not they're from the senator, from Senator Steinberg, we need some stability in this system. We need to know where we are, right? We need to be able to regroup, having come through this most difficult time. And so when you're talking about trying to figure out where you're going to come up with $1.2 billion just to take us back to where we were, right, at like 2009, and 110,000 lost slots, a roadmap to doing something about that, right, so that more children can be engaged in 0 to 5 programs, whatever age they're at, all right, and in whatever program they're at. We need to see that. We need to see that this year. Whether or not you're going to make a full commitment, that's obviously not something that we can dream, but if we could see a roadmap to get us back to where as many children as possible have access to the quality, and quality is an issue here, and we all know that. We're hearing that. But you also need institutions to teach that quality, and that's a whole other piece of the investment strategy that has to be looked at. So.
Thank you so much for your comments. I'd like to thank all of the members of the public who spoke today. Again, your comments are being taken down. You're welcome to supply us additional written comments. I want to thank all of the presenters today. It's a very thorough hearing, and we will continue on this subject in the weeks and months to come. Thank you so much. This meeting, if there's nothing else from the other senators, this meeting is now adjourned.